You're not going to want to put this episode on the back burner because it is therapeutic. It is fucking heartwarming. It is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bothering the Band with the ice cream grunge master himself, Nader of the band Nadu, based out of LA. It's hard to describe the music, but it's easy to listen to him talk. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bothering the Band with Nadu. Dude, welcome to Bothering the Band. Again, huge fans of your tunes. Tell the people, how are you and where are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm in LA now. Um, as I think you've already probably read, my family's from Bangladesh, and I moved here when I was about 18 to Texas, and then I did some. I used to work in an office. I used to do all these odd jobs, and one day I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to do music, and even though I had gone to school in Austin, and I just felt like I needed to go somewhere where music is what everybody does. I just wanted to be in that environment. So packed up everything and just moved to LA without a real plan. It was just like, let me get there, I'll figure it all out. So here we are.
Oh, well, you're doing something right because you landed on our radar. So two things. We fucking love your music. It's been on rotation nonstop, and I need to know. So Nadu is the band, correct?
Correct. My name is Nader, but when I was trying to figure out what to call the band, I was going through all these different names, and I was like, you know what, I should just stick my name, but let me try to find something that makes it a little more personable. And Nadu is something my mom used to call me as a kid, so I was like, that works.
Oh, that's cool. I also wanted to ask, because this has happened before in the past, like we listen to the music. If we don't have if we can't find audio of the artists, if they have a unique name or a unique band name, if we don't have audio of them saying it, chances are we might mess it up. If you did your own research, we got some real stupid questions for you. So I hope you're ready, because some of it is bananas.
Gotcha. I did listen to. I was trying to find a comparable. Uh, I think my nature is to try plan. So my first question to Caroline was like, "Hey, is there like a thing I'm supposed to go over?" And she's like, "No, no. If you listen to the podcast, you'll be like, they just kind of ask what they want." I'm like, "Oh, you're kind of scaring me a little bit," but all right. So I think I listened to Sky Wallace, which was, I was like, okay, she's a comparable, same, so I was like, oh, okay, so this is what these guys are about. So that's about as far as I went. And obviously, I read a little bit about the podcast and you and Abby, and I know you're a comedian, for example, I guess.
I don't think I'm a comedian. I'm just a writer who loves music. But the internet, yeah, so we ask questions like, what's your favorite soup? And that's an example, but now I'm curious, what is your favorite soup?
The hilarious thing is that I absolutely love soup. So
I know we dug deep.
I noodle soups are my go-to, but by saying noodle soup, you have you have your regular chicken noodle soup, but I usually end up being I'm a pho guy, if you're familiar with Vietnamese pho.
Absolutely.
And it's the broth that does it for me every time. And my wife makes a killer vegan chicken and dumpling soup, which is my go-to a lot of the time.
Are you yourself vegan?
I'm pescatarian.
Okay.
Fish and since we eat at home most of the time, it'll end up being all the time. It'll end up being vegan, but I'm not really vegan myself.
I lost track of time, and now I'm starving because I tried to eat before, because we always somehow go into food. We always segue into food. It's just a natural human instinct. Love some pho. I was going to ask another soup question. Have you ever read any? You said you moved to the States when you were 18. Did you read any chicken soup for the soul books? And or do you know what that is? Yeah.
I did. Yeah, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. I think it was like it might as well have been considered some kind of weird American export, um, because you would go into a bookstore and the first thing on display would be that book. And I remember my dad coming in one day. He's like, "Have you read this book? It's insane." And I think it's just one of those books that looks like dads should pick it up. You know what I mean? Like the cover, like the way it's the graphics. And I do remember. I don't recall off the top of my head specifically what story, but obviously when my dad handed it to me, I felt like I had to read some of it. So I think I remember a few stories of being inspired. But what made you think of it? Or
Because I'm just an idiot, and I'm a kid of the '90s as well, and I feel like if you're of a certain age or demo, like you know, I guess it was all over though. I thought it was just I thought it was something like and this is exact verbatim, something your stepmom gives you and she doesn't know what else to give you.
I I know more about this than you might actually think.
Lay it on us. Keep
So, so Chicken Soup for the Soul is actually a great story about manifesting. I don't know if you're into that. Like the story of the book itself, not the actual stories in it. But the guy who wrote it, he was like, I want to make sure that this is a success. And in his head, the books in the aisle when you're checking out at the supermarket, the books that stack in the aisle, to him, those were the books that were making it. And his whole aim was to try to figure out, connect to somebody who would put his book in that aisle. And literally, that's the secret of his success. That he found somebody. He went to some conference. He met somebody who was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm your guy. I will put your book in these supermarket aisles." And that was the secret of his success.
Wow, we're all gonna go to separate grocery stores tomorrow and see it and be like, it's gonna be a rando one too. It's like chicken soup for the divorced Christian lady soul, and we're gonna have to buy it. Next time I see it, I'm gonna send it to you. Oh man.
Mine will have to be super specific for the Bengali rocker, so I don't know if you'll find it, but anyway.
Chickens. I gotta write this down. So you're in LA. What's your favorite music venue in LA?
It's Highland Park Bowl, and I know this might come as a surprise to some people around because it's a bit of a hybrid. It is a venue where bands play, but it's mostly a bowling alley and pizza place, and all of that. But it's a place I found, maybe perhaps with the neighborhood, I found that the most nicest people just gather. And the booker, everybody else is just like a really nice and easy to work with. And this was kind of pre-pandemic, but I was trying to find a way to start gathering more people to come to LA shows. And if you, I don't know how familiar with the LA music scene in general, but it is tough as heck, especially as a transplant, to try, building a presence. And because most people are in bands themselves, so they're probably heading out to other shows or they're playing themselves. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to start going out to different venues while other bands are playing. If they're similar to me, I'm going to start handing out these little flyers and just talking to people like, hey, if you like these guys, I'm playing at Highland Park Bowl this next Friday, da da da. And so I did that for about a couple of weeks. We played Highland Park Bowl, and it was about 100 people, and most of them had come in from those little flyers. And it kind of just kicked us off into Nadu actually having a presence in the scene that we're able to say, hey, you know what? Any given night, we might be able to actually get you 50, 60 people. And this is why. So that's probably why that venue has a special place in my heart. plus it's one of the few places where you can walk by and you can see the band from the street, and you pull in people that way, and it's very, very organic. And we've had a lot of people discover us that way. And I'm a South by, I went to Austin, so I used to go to South by during its heyday, early years, or I guess depending on what you call its heyday. But I love the fact that you could hear something and you just want to walk in and watch the band. To me, that's something what music should be all about. So anyway, so for those reasons, I love Highland Park Bowl.
Oh man, that's a super philosophy. I love your heart is in the right spot. And we have a few names, and I'm curious. So we've had a bunch of people from LA. We've done live shows in LA. I'd like to think, this sounds like hubris, but I'd like to think we're tapped into a little bit of different different cities' music scene, specifically LA. We did a live show there last summer at Hotel Cafe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a fun spot. We saw Delta Spirit at a place. I don't know where we saw them at.
The Lodge Room.
The Lodge Room.
Oh, the Lodge Room. Okay, yeah.
And then we went to another show at the Moroccan Lounge.
Great place.
And we've just befriended, quite a few people, one of whom is named Randy Randalls of a band called No Age. Do you know a band called No Age?
I absolutely love No Age.
Well, let me say one thing and then you go. The minute I heard your music, I was like, this is updated No Age. I was like, this is fucking great. And I love No Age.
Oh,
anyways, you go.
Okay. You know how you have these subconscious things that you do? And one of the reasons why I even shortened Nadu to Nadu is because I love the name No Age. I saw, I had never even heard of No Age till they came and played Houston a good number of years ago while I was still in Texas. And I'd never really heard No Age. And then I walked in and they did, I saw Randy's setup with all those huge amps behind him. And I was like, this is insane, even before they started playing. And I was expecting 5 people to come out because of the number of amps. And it's only Randy. So I've never, ever seen anything like it in my life. And I was like, this is insane, 2 people. And I couldn't even begin to understand what the heck he was doing with all those amps and all that sound. And it just completely changed how I approached music and that's one of the reasons why I even moved to LA to try, do something with music. So.
Man, so like, no joke. It's in our notes already. I was like, ask him if he knows of the band No Age. It's no surprise that you do. And after we're done here, I'm going to send you his email, or Abby will.
Oh.
And then you guys should link up because it's just parallel tunes and great tunes. That being said, can you tell us about any other, and just excuse my American idiocracy, Bangladeshi musicians that we should listen to?
It's a bit of an interesting question for me because the interesting thing is that I've been away from Bangladeshi music for a long time now. So my references are probably not even updated.
Or any in the States, or any.
Yeah. But I think I can give you a good. So when I started music in high school, and that was right before I moved to the U.S. And one of the things that was going on was people our age were actually playing rock music, and most of the scene before that was, there were some bands around who were doing 70s rock and 80s rock, but there was no real contemporary scene. And when I was in high school, that was a heyday of Korn, Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, all that good stuff. So me and my buddy, we actually, since these bands would never actually come and play, sorry, excuse me, come and play in Bangladesh, next best thing was cover bands who would actually have covers from these bands. So me and my buddy, when we actually started playing music in high school, the first show we did um, uh, was covering Rage Against the Machine, Corn, and all these. Um, but we were really inspired by this band called Cryptic Fate, and they're still around. And I think, given your taste in music, I think you will enjoy them. Um, and they play like just good old. They're really inspired by Iron Maiden, Megadeth, that kind of thing. But there were the few guys who were actually doing, or close to. They're still in a good number of years our senior, but at least they were a little more contemporaries compared to the other bands. They're still around and still kicking. They do some good. They do some good music. You can check them out.
Do they do covers or original?
Oh, no, they do original music.
Oh, okay. Cryptic Fate. Okay.
Sorry, that was a bit of a sidebar, but yeah.
No, I like the thought of of you guys rocking out to Limp Bizkit. It's real. It's real adorable and funny.
Yeah.
Oh man, have you ever seen any of those bands live? Limp Bizkit, Corn.
Unfortunately, no. I was hoping to catch Rage Against the Machine. That was pre-pandemic when they announced that tour.
Yeah.
But in the past couple of years, I've really focused on. It's kind of odd when you make that mental transition from being I'm a music fan and I'm now a rock star. You know, you cross that line, and it's very hard to go back and forth. The last big show that I actually caught was Jack White when he just recently came
Oh,
to
nice.
LA. That was a dream come true because I actually missed him right before White Stripes broke up. They were supposed to play Austin City Limits, and right at the last moment they announced that or they're breaking up or they're taking a hiatus, whatever it was, and I couldn't see them. And that was back in I think 2007 or something like that. So he, are you guys in LA?
No, I'm in
No,
Florida.
yeah,
I'm in Florida, and
that's right.
Abby is in Wyoming.
Gotcha.
Well,
um, I, I
we
I do have an
wish.
interesting. Yeah, I gotcha. I do have an interesting Wyoming story if we have time to get into that. But Jack White announced that he was doing a small show here at the Belasco, which is a small theater. I don't know how familiar you are with that. And so my wife just applied for the raffle, and we just got in, and we were, I think, I don't know, one of maybe 300 people there. It was amazing. I was 10 feet away from Jack White. I could not have dreamed a better. Yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
Oh man, I have chills just thinking about you being there. Man. So lay this Wyoming story on us.
I actually went on this was while I was still doing corporate work. And one of the things I used to do was compliance work. And to cut a long story short, I walked into this cattle rancher's guy office, trying to tell him that he owes us money. And walking into the room, watching all these mounted animal heads on the wall, and about to tell him that he owes us money. It was a very very harrowing experience.
Well, that guy's a big listener, so he's probably real esteemed right now that you mentioned your corporate job. What was your very first job?
My very first job was as a cashier for this chain called Taco Cabana. If you're familiar with it, they're a Texas taco chain, and I was hired, oddly enough, because I spoke English.
Oh, okay.
Because most of the crew was, I guess, Hispanic,
Mm-hmm.
and they were more. They had an easier time with Spanish, and when I moved first, I was just looking for, and they were like, "Hey, you can speak English, you can do the cashier." I was like, "It's a weird qualification for this job, but you know what? As long as I got the job, I'll take it."
Do you get anyone? Did you or do you now get anyone speaking just automatically speaking Spanish to you, or
Mm.
any other mistaken identity?
Uh, Spanish, I think, is the most usually the most first that people go to, simply because they might assume I'm Hispanic as well.
Nah.
And also, given most of the time that'll be the demographic I might run across.
Yeah.
So,
Abby worked at a Taco Bell,
oh,
so you guys have tacos in common in your younger formative years. You know.
let's see if we have this in common really quick. Abby, do you know how to roll a burrito properly?
I mean, I didn't make the food, so probably not.
Probably not.
I like you go in and then roll a little bit and then in and then roll.
I'm the same way. I think I had to jump in like maybe twice. I remember, because the number sticks out to me, because all 3 times the customer came back.
And they were like, this is exactly, but I can run a drive-through window better than anybody. I just want that to be known in the world.
Wait. Someone bought a burrito
Uh-huh.
and like apparently like judged how it was packed, like rolled, and then brought it back and was like,
Brought it back.
I'm unhappy with this presentation.
Yeah, because it's falling apart. So, because you expect to just unroll your burrito and get straight to eating, right? So if you can't do that, if it's falling apart, I guess you would come back.
Those were white people for certain. I don't think I would ever do that. I would just be like, I guess it's a bowl now, and I'd use chopsticks for it.
All right, it was that bad. I mean,
man, that's wild. That's a real wild turn of events. Okay, we're sticking with the food. See, we get in on the food. Bottle of soda, can of soda, or fountain soda?
Oh, I don't know if you like this answer. I don't drink soda.
That there are no. Well, do you drink bottled air? Boom, nailed it.
Well, I like Spindrift. Are you familiar with Spindrift?
Oh yeah, love it. I love the half and half one, the half tea,
Uh-huh.
half lemonade one.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite. They also now have like a strawberry lemonade, I think.
Oh, nice.
Great.
Yeah, I drink that. I drink like the sparkling water as well.
Gotcha. I couldn't do LaCroix for some reason, and Spindrift just passes that test somehow, because I guess they combine actual fruit juice with carbonated water.
And the bubbles. I like the bubbles in Spindrift better. It feels better.
Absolutely, 100%.
So you don't drink like, if any reason, or just like it's not your jam?
Oh no, it's just honestly because of diet.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much sugar, and if it's something I can easily get from something like Spindrift, it's an easy replacement.
Yeah.
So that's really where it came from.
I'm right there with you. Do you drink well, you probably don't drink milk, right? Pescatarian, vegan-esque. You drink
I eat cheese.
Okay.
I don't end up drinking milk, because at home we just it'll usually be oat milk.
Okay. Do you drink coffee?
I love coffee. Absolutely love coffee.
And do you put oat milk in it, or are you going black?
I go black. I just do a hint of cinnamon, and I do this fancy thing, which I put an orange slice in it from time to time, which I don't know if you've ever tried.
I have not, but I will definitely do this very soon. I love coffee. I drink coffee like a maniac. I also like, for the listeners and for Abby, I like you're getting comfy now. I love it.
Oh.
Look, he's chilling. Perfect segue. Where do you get your hair cut?
Oh, my wife does my hair.
She does a great job. You look cool, man.
Thank you. I always had, it's one of those weird things that I knew I understood about me, but I've always found it hard to settle on a hairstyle. And I would always be jealous of people who are like, oh man, this guy knows what to do with his hair for like since the age of, 14. And for some reason, I could never really settle on something until maybe a few years ago. And then my wife just cut it, and I was like, okay, I like this hair. And she's like, okay, I guess I'm cutting your hair from now on. I'm like, all right, cool.
Does she dye it as well?
Mm-hmm. She does everything.
Oh, well, next time we're in LA, I'm gonna go get my hair did.
Yeah, can she cut these bangs so I can stop acting like it's early 2000s emo?
She can. I mean, she does her own hair too, so I'm sure she can.
And she's not a hairstylist, right?
No, no, no.
I suffer from the same thing though. When I, especially again, younger years, I didn't know long, short, more like hip hop, more punk rock. I couldn't really find my niche, and it took me a long time. So I feel your pain.
Yeah.
You can pull off a much cooler look than I can, though. I also think with like certain levels of musical talent, you could pull off anything. So, you could, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the craziest shit ever, but you could have a bowl cut like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, it seems like as long as you're distinctive, that's really the thing that comes across, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like the mullet thing is kind of in with certain indie bands, depending on where they're from. And then it's like, that's
I see that with a lot of Australian bands.
Yeah. And Canadian. We've seen a lot of Canadian, with that. We're having a fun time. Okay. Do you have any windows in your that you're facing right now? And what do you see out those windows?
I do have a window behind me, and I just see my neighbor, honestly, and my neighbor's another house. I was speaking of which, I was lucky enough to move out of an apartment and actually find a house during the pandemic. But that helped also.
And now it's stocked with chicken soup books and the window. Everyone listening right now, go listen to the song "The Window." It's great. This question came to us today. Do you have, since you have a new home, well, relatively, do you have a favorite burner on your stove?
Huh. Actually, I do. That's so
Everyone
weird.
does.
Why is that? I've been recently trying to be more self-aware of, diagnose, social anxiety cues or whatever. And one of the things I learned that you pick out something that's familiar to you and you keep going back to it. And apparently it's the same thing that extends to even when you go to a coffee shop, you have a favorite barista that you keep talking to. And it gives you the sense of familiarity every time so it's not enough that you go back to the same coffee shop, you order the same thing, it also helps you to be with the same person. So maybe having a favorite burner is, I guess, similar.
So which one is it?
Oh, I never answered the question. I guess it's the front right. I have 4 burners. So it's the front right.
Okay, so you're going front right. Abby, what's yours?
Front right.
Oh, I gotta go front left.
No.
The front left one is the bigger one on
No, front right's the big one.
Mine are all equal size, but
what?
Are you
equal opportunity burners over here?
Right. But are you left-handed, Ryan? Maybe that's
no. I'm not.
No, okay.
I'm right-handed. I don't. I'm trying to think of other. Think about. Let's all do this little exercise. Think about other places you've lived, and I want to say it is dependent on the layout of the kitchen, because when I lived in New York, my fridge was right up against the stove, so I used the right front because it was away from things.
Ah.
Wow, we're getting deep.
I'm trying to remember all the apartments I've been in, and that is definitely a consideration.
Let's list all our favorite burners from birth to present day. Just kidding.
I would only use the back if I'm dealing with multiple things.
Yeah,
otherwise
no one goes back first. You got to be a real psycho. We're gonna put this on the back burner. Bam! Nailed it. Nice. I'm not a comedian. I'm just a person. I write puns for a living and interview cool musicians. Abby, have you moved on from the burner question? Okay.
Yes, we're done.
But by the way, I didn't say this earlier, but Abby, your hair already looks great, so I don't know why you would want to change it. But
Oh, thank you. I just want to be able to see. I just want to go up a little bit.
She's had the same haircut since middle school. It's just the bangs vary, you know. So, oh goodness.
I'm that person he hates that figured out the haircut.
Yeah, you figured it out so fucking young. You're like, this is it.
Right, I was about to say.
It's shape of my face, everything. It's everything.
Ryan, really quick, did you ever do that thing where I even use this chart to try to figure out what my hairstyle should be depending on my face shape, and I still could not understand what the heck that was about.
No, I do know what you're talking about. I never used it. I when in my younger days I followed, whatever was cool, and I was always late. Like all the time. So if it was like a long hair, I was a year and a half late to the game, and everyone had cut their hair. They had fades and shit like that. And I was like, oh, I'll go fade. And then everyone got some other fucking frosted tips or something. And I was late to that. And,
You still have frosted tips. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did.
We just can't see it.
No. Well, now that you mentioned that, did you have any like trendy hairstyles in like high school or that you regret?
I didn't have a trendy hairstyle because I still was suffering from that, trying to figure out my hair. But I did wear those beads necklaces. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, we did.
They were so in. They were so in. I thought I was like the coolest mofo rolling in. Like,
did you have any puka shell necklaces?
No, those didn't make it across the across the divide.
But chicken soup did. That's
chicken soup did.
Chicken soup and those terrible beaded necklaces.
This is like therapy. This is fun.
Really is.
This is fun. The whole thing. This might spur something as well. Okay, a recent song you've had stuck in your head.
Huh. Recent song. Joke by Chastity Belt.
Oh yeah? Fuck yeah, dude.
There's something about that chorus. And it's so simple, but it's just stuck in my head. And I'll come back to it every couple of months, like once I got into it. And when I listen to it, I'll have to listen to it like 10 times in a row.
I was supposed to see them, and I got tickets, and it was right in the middle of the pandemic. So I got tickets before pandemic happened. Didn't see them, and it's one of those things we talk about it a lot. Where we're both in places that it's very rare for good bands to come, like good indie bands. And so it's like, well, that was my one chance. Fuck, I gotta go to LA or New York or something to see them. Okay, what's one song that always gets stuck in your head?
Gets stuck in my head. Man, that's a tough one. But I'll have to go with, and this is really old school, but "Break On Through" by the Doors.
Yeah. Nice. Good answer.
It just never ever left my brain, and I think it has partly to do with the fact that when I was a kid, my introduction to music at first was through my parents, which I think a lot of people are. And for some reason, my mom got me onto Michael Jackson, and I would just listen to his albums on repeat because that's all my mom had. And then this one day, my friend he puts in this mixtape, and he's like, "Man, I'm gonna blow your mind." And the first song that comes out is "Break On Through." And I was like, what is this? And it just completely changed. And believe it or not, the first thought in my head, and I didn't even like the concept of being a musician at that point for some reason. I don't know why, or it didn't even strike my brain. But as soon as I heard him sing, I was like, I want to be that guy. That's the guy I want to be. And I didn't even realize that he was dead, and this was music from the '60s. I didn't know any of that at the time. But I was like, I want to go where he is. I want to make music like him. I want to sing like him. That's the guy I want to be. So it's always stuck in my head.
Dude, that's a fantastic answer. It makes me think. I'm sure a lot of people have this. That one friend who kind of opens the gate, if you will, the floodgate of music for you. Because yeah, we are given this this collection from our parents, and then someone kind of opens it up, and that happens throughout your life. Like someone else might open up a different door. But I remember my friend Richard Edmonds. I remember I was very much into pop and rap, and really young, and he played the Doors for me. He played what was it? Bam, 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 touch me, bam, 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 touch me, and I was like, what is this weird thing? And I remember being viscerally affected as yourself. That's very cool, man. You're closer than you think. You're in LA. You look and dress super cool. Do you take your shirt off on stage? You got to start doing that.
Oh yeah, I have to build up some abs first, I think.
Well, the heroin and booze, and that'll help.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. That's cool, man. Well, Abby, what was the music that opened your? I feel like you were cool. You knew your hairstyle.
I mean, my parents listened to stuff from the 60s and 70s. So yeah, I knew that already. But I do remember the friend that opened the floodgates was my friend Nick Taylor. We used to just trade everything all the time. And then also if I heard something, I would look it up on, like Napster and be like, what was that?
Oh goodness. That was like late in the game, I feel like.
It was later.
I remember punk rock though. When I went Justin Zito. That guy could be dead. I don't know. But he's still a boy in my head. And he was like, listen to this. And it was like Operation Ivy, Rancid, all that shit. And I was like, this is exactly what I need in my 10-year-old life.
I have something to tell you on those lines. So that was the first floodgate. The second floodgate was punk. And I think I saw the music video for Blink-182, All the Small Things. And that just started something in me. And the thing is that in Bangladesh, very few people knew punk outside of Blink-182. But for me, for some reason, I was like, this seems like too small to be contained in one band. This has to be, a more expansive genre than this. And I went down this rabbit hole where I discovered the Sex Pistols, Pennywise, the whole SoCal scene. And I actually knew somebody back then who was traveling from the US to Bangladesh. And I had them bring a pair of Vans just so I could be cool. And nobody in school even knew what the hell they were. They were like, who's this kid wearing like checkered, shoes for no reason? But I knew what they were, and that was good enough for me. And I was like, oh man, if these people only knew, about all these. And I would go back to, are you guys familiar with LimeWire or Kazaa? That was sort of before Napster.
Oh yeah.
So I would just download whole albums from there and just keep getting into it, and all these references that nobody else would understand. But I think that's part of the whole manifesting thing, because I feel like I kind of manifested myself being in LA at some point, or being in SoCal, because that's all I would listen to. I would just listen to bands from SoCal. Of course, Offspring was big too.
Yeah. I heard today, Pretty Fly for a White Guy, and I am surprised and a little bit ashamed at how much of the lyrics I knew.
I could probably sing the whole thing.
It's wild.
This is way too therapeutic. I'm saying, especially with their latest album coming out, I had to go back, and I was like, wow, I know this whole American album top to bottom.
Dude, that Crash album, was it called Crash or whatever Self-Esteem was on, and with it was the skeleton cover?
Yeah, it wasn't called Splash, but now you made me forget it.
Oh, devils.
Smash.
But it was something.
Smash.
Yes.
We were close.
Yeah.
I said Crash, you said Splash. It was called. Man, this is so much fun. The problem with these things is like, The minute we go on I like think of something, I'm like, ooh, talk about that. And then I'm like, wait a second, and then I forget it. Man. Musical floodgates, therapy, growing up, Kazan, Napster. I don't fucking this is nothing, but it's crazy how much work we had to do for music, especially yourself. And that makes me remember what I was going to ask. Did you get made fun of, or were you super cool for those vans? Were people like, holy shit, this guy's dope?
I got made fun of because the thing was like, even I guess I didn't actually, now that I look back on it, I didn't actually look cool because I also wasn't getting the full picture off the whole trend, if you know what I mean. Like I'll still be wearing these, you know, okay, I have to dial it back a little. Do you remember when Travis Barker first started like being a fashion icon? And one of the things he would do is he would wear these really baggy pants with these white shoes. And it was this huge contrasting thing because it would be all black and these all white shoes. And I was like, man, I could pull that off. So I just wore that, and people were like, what are you, dumb? Like, why are you wearing this white shoes with black pants for no, reason?
Weren't
but
they
that was
like
the only
shell
thing.
toe? Didn't he wear like Adidas shell toes as well?
I don't remember the.
So were your white shoes Vans?
No, so that's the
No.
thing. I was just copying what I saw, not the actual brand. So I was like, okay, you know what? If people made fun of me, it was warranted, I suppose, because I wasn't fully committing myself to what I actually had in my head, or what I was supposed to, I suppose.
You were doing the best with what you had.
Right, pretty much.
Oh.
Anyways.
That's pretty fun. Let's stay with music here. How do you describe your music?
I was just thinking about this today, because I started off, and you listen to a bit of my catalog and you can clearly see that I start off very much in the garage rock, surf rock, punk rock area. And the latest album is deviating from that heuristic way, I guess. But I guess I would have to describe. End of the day, it's rock. It's rock and roll. But it's almost like I'm sort of trying to mix and match all the stuff that I listen to, like in a almost like a curatorial sense. Like, hey, this is what I listen to, and once my brain gets hold of these different genres, this is how it kind of comes across. Almost like a best of. Did that really make sense?
It definitely made sense, without a doubt. It's going to be real hard to write about it after the fact. That's a cheat question to get the guests to be like, help me write the introduction and the description of this fucking episode.
Okay. Let me help you out then. I guess
you got a great laugh, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Indie rock. Yeah, I guess indie rock would be the most apt description, but so somebody mentioned the other day, just because they'd listened to some of the later songs, they were like, hey man, I know you're kind of going off into a different vibe, but I can still feel your garage rock heart or your punk rock heart in, no matter what you do, there's still that heart in it. So, but I don't know, that probably still doesn't help your introduction. But.
Well, you got some blues in there too. And I guess what I want to get at is, on our platform, is more adjectives, more genres of music. Instead of fitting you into a genre, let's make up the genre. And gotcha. I don't have any off the top of my head, but we can make that up. Just keep doing you, and one day it will be you know how like something that becomes so big or so known, it has its own, I don't know, philosophy behind it, like Seinfeldian or whatever the fuck. And we'll use yours will become a religion. It'll be Naduism. Bam. You laugh now, both of you. Okay. In 50 years, when our kids are like, My dad made me listen to Nadu. Man,
Um,
until the floodgates. We're getting somewhere.
Now that you mentioned blues, it's one of those things. You try to go back and analyze yourself. The My first introduction to, and I think I drew heavy experience from the Black Keys' first album, The Big Come Up. And I think that really drew me into into that world of blues, garage rock. So that's definitely early influence in some of the songs. My later, this album has more from stuff like Snail Mail or Japanese Breakfast, and I know Japanese Breakfast would be indie pop. Snail Mail would be indie rock. I have some jazz stuff in there, which I think also falls. So yeah, indie rock or alternative rock is usually probably what would make up the general umbrella of what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's what the man will call it. That's what the we're gonna call it something else.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
Become your own niche, right?
Yeah, for real. And it's entities like this. We're trying to give it a label so other people will go, oh, I like this. I'm gonna listen to this, because if we call it something that we make up, no one's gonna know what it is. So we're just playing, round and round, catch 22, and I don't like it. I'm gonna think about this. This is very musically philosophical. We're gonna think of new genres to fit, new like bands to make up the genres. I'm rambling. How many pancakes do you think you could eat?
I actually have a good answer to this question. I think I could easily do 10, if not 20. 10 for sure, because I've done that.
What's the diameter of these pancakes?
Regular.
Okay, that's a good question. I was imagining,
not silver dollar or whatever they're called, like regular diner. They're like a foot or whatever, maybe a little less,
right.
10 inches. 10 inches.
We
all know what regular
too, but
yeah, regular like deli diner bagel place pancakes. Breakfast.
Yeah, I could do 10 for sure, because I used to go to IHOP all the time. So I know that's why I said I have a good answer to this question.
But 10 to 20 is a lot, dude.
So this is one of those things you didn't expect to find out, probably, or maybe you did. I don't know. I competed in an ice cream eating contest, and I won when I was still in school. And I was so inspired by this new career trajectory that I was on that I went to some place that said they were doing regionals of ice cream eating contests. And I competed in it, and I came in by a hair, second by a hair. And then I went back home and my teeth hurt for like 4 days. And I was like, all right, I tried something. The first time I tried it, I did win something. So I have a golden spoon that I still have. So at least I can say I did something with this.
Okay, so many fucking questions.
My face hurts.
Where's the golden spoon now?
I do have it. It's you know how you keep a box of mementos or something. Yeah. So it's in there.
I would love if you're like, it's right here.
It should be on the wall with those guitars.
You go right in between those two axes.
Yeah.
Okay. Another just observation. I love that there is a ice cream eating contest subculture that you can move up the hierarchy to, and he used the word career.
No, I see. I didn't expect to win. See, that's the thing. So that's when I was like, can I actually make a go at this?
How do you make your millions?
Right.
Eating ice cream. Brain freezes. I thought of the last thing I'll say is I thought of a genre, ice cream grunge. Because it play on ice cream grunge. Get it? Here we go.
Yeah.
We're moving, we're shaking.
You're a wordsmith.
We're philosophizing.
Wow, no, that actually fits. That actually fits the sound. Yeah, I would actually say so.
Well, the ice cream is like the jazz
Yeah.
poppy side. The
Mhm.
grunge is, the garage rock
Yeah.
side. Oh man.
Wow, you're wow. You're blowing my mind.
You're Caroline, your publicist better
Right,
in the next press release. Okay, you know what? We're not going to mention it to her. We're going to just see if she listens, and then see if it, whenever the record comes out and we get the announcement, we're going to be like, ice cream grunge musician. But one of our questions is, when does it come out?
It comes out March 3rd.
3rd, like 3?
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. Writing that down. March 3rd.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Very cool. Man.
I'm already working on the follow-up, but I'm hoping to be faster now with releases. It helps to have your own, your own home, so you can work out of there. And I've just been realizing that you reach so many more people through the internet now. And I'm a live performer through and through, and I'm never going to stop. But it's just amazing how the reach is now. Like, somebody in Brazil listening to Nadu and stuff like that. And so I've just kind of drawn back into being like, you know what, I need to focus on releasing just more and more music. So, because, the more music you release, the more people it gets to, the more they understand your sound. And it's just been something that I've become more conscious about and starting to devote more time to. I know we didn't get into this part, but I plan all my own tours as well. And it's a significant amount of time, I'm sure, if you've ever delved into that role, and actually making a good tour. So not because half the time I would see bands playing out tours and be like, oh man, I just played with whoever could play, whatever venue we could get hold of. And to me, that wasn't really good enough to have a reason to go out on tour. I was like, if I'm going to play a show, it's going to be with bands I've tried to actually hook up with, good bands, good venue. So I had it kind of down to a science before pre-pandemic, and every show we played, we had an average of anywhere from 50 to a couple of hundred people. With the pinnacle being playing in Seattle, we played in front of about 300 people. And that was the first tour. But I don't know if you're interested in this part, but I figured out this little trick of booking a good show, which was like, it's not a thing now anymore. I guess Facebook events, the pandemic destroyed all of that. But let's say I would find a venue, and I would try to figure out what is the last semi-big local band that played there maybe a month and a half before I'm looking at it. Try to sweet talk them into locking down a date. And then I would reach out to the venue and be like, hey, your boys are down to play this show. Do you think, you'll host us? And 95% of the time they'll be like, yeah, you've already done half the work. You already booked a big local guy. So yeah, have at it. So, but the only thing left for me would be trying to find maybe a smaller opening local band, which is a lot easier to find once you have a date and a big local to close it. And that also helped us make solid friends, because usually the big local band was a serious band. So once you hook up with them, and we as a live performers, the one thing I always loved, and I think you can tell this was coming from the No Age show that I saw, which was like every time we would play, the bartender and the door guy would always come up to us and be like, man, that was a fucking good show. And it would always strike me somewhere that the bartender and the door guy who see shows day in, day out, they're the ones who will come and tell us that, hey, that was a good live show. So it would always mean the most to me, because these are the guys who are just might as well just close their eyes and have a clock in another night, and they're the ones who are even bothering to come up and talk to us. So I knew that if I were to just be able to put on a show I'd be able to keep these contacts whom I'd kind of worked hard to get before they'd actually seen us play. Anyway.
No, that is two things: educational, and you're speaking our language. We, like I said, we were in LA, New York, Orlando last year. This year we are going out on tour again, but all doing it DIY, doing it ourselves. Very punk rock, very ice cream grunge, if you will.
What is your band name, right? So I'd assumed at first you were talking about the podcast.
No, that's what I'm talking about. No,
Oh, that is
I
what you're talking
don't
about.
play
Okay.
music. No.
Gotcha.
But we both come from this background of one, DIY, and two, like how just put on a live show. Like, this is working so well. What is the obvious next step? And we're like, I don't know, let's fucking put on a, I come from the comedy like background. I would never say I am a comic, but and then it's like, oh, the obvious next step is we should get in front of people. And especially with the pandemic ending, whenever it did, or that is, right. But we're gonna get in trouble. And so we're doing it literally, but that helps. And we almost subconsciously did that because in each place we, found a band that was there, that we liked, that we, was either on the pod or somehow, connected to the pod. That being said, you should meet us somewhere. You should do two things. One, if you next time we're in LA, we'd love to have you on the pod.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Sweet. And then we're going to use you as your connection to Highland Bowl. And then please come to our wayward states next time you're on tour. When you tour the fucking new album, please come to Wyoming. I don't know how longer she's going to be there, but come to Florida and Wyoming, please.
Oh, absolutely. Where in Florida are you?
I'm in
Orlando?
South Florida. No, we grew up in Orlando, but I'm in South Florida now. I'm like 20 minutes west of Fort Lauderdale.
Gotcha.
So there's a cool indie place called Culture Room here. There's another one called Revolution Live. Those are where like the punk rock and indie bands would be.
Oddly enough, I feel like I've heard of Revolution Live. I haven't made it out to Florida, but when I was looking at venues, that strikes a chord in me. I think I feel like I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's where you would go to see like a Tokyo Police Club, a Bayside, a Peach Pit, all these bands I've seen there. But there's something else I was going to say about booking your show. I don't know. I lost it, but I think whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And we firmly believe in that. If you want to do something, just figure out your own way to do it, whatever that means. What is the name of the album? We didn't say that.
Oh, it's 16. Just the number 16.
That's pretty cool.
The reason I picked the number was it makes it a little mysterious one. So it forces you to ask, like, hey, so what is this about? Is it an age? Is it is it coming from somewhere else? So you can interpret it in any way you want. But mine was pseudo agish. And if you've seen the album cover, it's me under a bed with my guitar. And the whole subtext is so when I was growing up, I had to, my folks weren't too enthused with me playing music, and they wouldn't give me the money to buy an instrument. So I borrowed an electric guitar, knowing that I would have to plug it in for it to make sound. So I would hide it under my bed and usually pull it out at like 2 a.m. to try practice. And since I didn't have to plug it in, I wasn't making a lot of sound. So everybody was fine as long as, And the first time my folks even found out that I played was in the newspaper. Somebody had put a picture of us playing live. And my dad was like, what the heck is this? What is going on? And that's how they found out that I was even a musician.
Oh, wow. That's such a good story.
So I wanted to make make that an album cover because, like you said, it's personal. And one of the things that that I was exploring it, because I started working on this album during the pandemic, was that I was beginning to realize that punk rock was always my heart, but I was keeping some personal things outside of music. And I wanted to start sharing some of that because I was realizing that one of the things that people would come back and tell me about some of the songs was like, hey man, these are some things I went through. These are some emotions that I also felt. So I was like, if I start sharing more of these moments, even though specifically they might not be the same for somebody else, but they probably went through something similar. So the more I share, the more somebody resonates with these. So that's one of the reasons why I started messing with different sounds, because as long as they told the story, it became part of the resonance, I guess, if you will.
Prior to that, did you find yourself like having a wall up that you had to kind of take it down brick by brick and put more of yourself out there?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't fully conscious of it. I think when I actually started working on trying to write lyrics, I realized that I had it. And it's, I guess it's one of those things where you try to piece out, because one of the fun things I was realizing that when I initially started picking up the guitar and playing, you have a lot of external factors, like I'm cool. Somebody will think I'm cool because I'm a musician, or girls will like me, and this and that. But I was realizing that the thing that music gave to me most was that it changed who I was. I was basically discovering things about myself, and I realized that is actually what gives me the most joy. So, sorry, I think did I answer your question?
You didn't. You did in so many ways, man.
Beautifully.
And yeah, so many ways. And I have to ask this question because you touched on using the internet to your advantage. We've been sitting on this question for the right guest. And I think you might be that right guest. Okay. You can't time travel, but your phone has the internet from 5 years in the future. What's the first thing you look up?
Wow. Huh.
Where am I playing tonight? Did Ice Cream Grunge catch on?
I hate to admit this about myself. I'm so oddly narcissistic. I think I would look up what I'm doing, where I am. Am I playing Lollapalooza? Something like that. That's probably the first thing.
This is definitely a question we'll probably bring back depending on the guest. You're the first person we've asked this to. I bet you if you asked 20 people, 18 of them would say myself. I would 100%. I would Google just like, am I still alive?
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good one.
But you'd have to just Ryan Bynack, dead. You're like, fuck. What day is it? It's tomorrow.
Well, you're trying to make me feel less bad, I guess.
No, I well, yeah. What's something on the top of your anti-bucket list? Something that you tried and you will never do again?
I'm a person of familiarity, so it's so hard for anyone to make me try something new. But it's one of those odd things that sometimes when I try that new thing now becomes my new obsession. So now I'm all about this new thing that I just finally managed to break open and try. So I tried, my wife took me as a gift indoor skydiving. Have you ever tried?
Yes, I've done it.
Yes. Isn't it so oddly unsettling? I don't know what your experience is. So weird.
So weird. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, the guy was trying to keep me afloat, and I don't know if it's just my body mass or how awkward I am. Like, he had a devil of a time trying to do anything with me, because So Abby knows, but Ryan, do you know like how indoor skydiving works? Or
Yeah, it's a big fan. There's a dude in there trying to keep you over that fan until you can catch yourself. And
right, and he's like this high school teacher who keeps on telling you do your arms like this and do that, or if he's almost mad if you're making his job harder, even though you're paying for the privilege of this experience. But anyway.
So that's out. Never do an indoor skydiving again.
Well, I mean, I guess it took maybe I might go back indoor skydiving, but definitely took me out of. I don't feel the need to do skydiving.
Okay.
I feel like I got whatever I needed to get out of that experience. I think.
Man, that's a great answer. That's another thing that if I had to guess what the guest would say, that's pretty close to what I would say. Like a bucket list thing that I never need to fucking do again. Indoor skydiving is perfect. Perfect answer. We don't have any wrong answers on Bothering the Band, but that is the right answer. So wait. What song do you want us to end this episode with of yours? We always end with a guest song.
I guess it would have to be. I should pick one of my new singles just because. I guess What Kind of Man. What Kind of Man is my latest single. My most popular song is Survive, which I never really thought would be the most popular because it's the fastest song I wrote. I really wrote it in 5 minutes, and I just wanted to have a fast moving bop to open my EP. And it ended up being the most popular song.
Isn't that funny how that works out? Something you're just like, I guess. Here you go.
Right.
And then that's the thing that connects to people. That's wild. Yeah, I have your Spotify pulled up, but it was very easy because I, listen, rocking and rolling to your tunes. Well, we usually at this moment ask the really dumb question of do you follow us on Instagram? But I already noticed that you do follow us on Instagram. But that being said, everyone go follow Nadu Band.
I actually followed you guys a long time ago.
No way, really?
Yeah. Here's something funny, I guess, about me is that I'm of the school that I actually use social media. I'm your target user. Like I love. So like if I find something interesting, I immediately follow it. I have no qualms in commenting or not DMing necessarily, but I have no qualms commenting and following people because I just love inspiration and I love people doing things that are inspirational. So at some point, I think I found you guys doing inspirational things and I followed you. And I did the same with every social media thing I'm on. I have no I don't have that weird thing like my followers must exceed the number of people following me or something. Like that whole thing.
Yeah, there are a lot of quote unquote rules. Abby and I have this conversation with our friends. Now it seems like daily, where they're like, "Oh, you need to do this to up your algorithm and all this." We're like, you know what? We literally started this to become friends with our favorite musicians. That's it. This is the chore. This right here is the fun part. The other thing, I'm whatever. And yes, we're very similar. Where we're like, if we like you, we're reaching out. We like your music. Want to be on the pod? That's it. So thanks for being our target. He used the word inspiration, Abby. I'm glad our soup questions inspire. Oh man. So everyone follow. It's just Nadu Band. No underscore, no nothing, no dots. NADUBAND.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the same all across, like TikTok
cool.
and everywhere.
Oh, see, that's where you got us right there. We are not rocking and rolling on the TikTok. What about Twitter?
So I can only focus on 2 social media platforms. So it's Instagram and TikTok for me.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. no hyperbole and no lip service. You're a perfect guest. So keep going.
Thank you. So the TikTok is a very unpolished place, and unabashedly proud of it in some ways. So it is what, in my mind, what social media was actually meant to be, or what the internet was meant to be like. Sometimes it'll just be like a person's face with some text all over it, and you're like, this is the worst video I've ever seen, if you just classify it as just as a video. But as an engagement tool, you're like, man, okay, this person had something cool to say, and you reply back and forth. So the video did its job. It doesn't have to be the super polished thing.
Yeah.
It just needs to be a mode of communication to establish something, and that it does really well. And people are okay with doing that. So the whole thing becomes, and by putting out these unpolished videos, you're actually refining yourself. You're like, since quantity, just like with music, the more music you do, the better you get at it. So with TikTok, it encourages you to keep pushing out these unpolished videos. But in the back of it, what it's actually doing is it's training you to be better at video, simply because you keep pushing them out. And you see other people pushing out unpolished videos, so you feel less bad about doing it yourself. And anyway, just kind of keeps going like that.
Do you own stock in TikTok? TikTok stock? Okay.
No, but I was an early proponent of Facebook ads for music.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I think that's where that nerding thing comes from, and that's where I found most of the early listeners of Nadu. I just messed around with Facebook ads for a little bit, and I didn't really know what would come of it. I just wanted to try it because I was like, here's an avenue, why not try it? And when we went on tour, it's really when it started making sense that why it was worth it. Because every show, Ryan, every show we played, at least 4 to 5 people would come up and be like, yo, man, I found your music on Facebook. I'm like, really? Really? You found it on Facebook? That's wild. I was just trying something. And it was those 5 people who would buy a T-shirt, or buy the merch that I had, or the record. And at that time I had tapes. This one particular one stuck out to me was this group of friends had we were playing this venue called Ghost in Santa Fe. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a really cool spot, but I think it's shut down now. Half the place is shut down after pandemic. But these 5 kids that driven down from Tucson to catch Nadu. And at that, even now, I would say we're not a big band by any stretch of the imagination. But the fact that people would actually drive down from another town to watch us, and he said, I found you on Facebook, and I saw your name on the tour schedule for this place, and I had circled it, and I came down here.
No, that's magical. And you said you weren't, a big band, but to those kids, you're massive, and we try to remind ourselves that, we are lucky because we get to geek out with our favorite bands. But we identify with what you're saying with our whole heart, because we're going at, if you substitute the word podcast for band, we're doing the exact same thing. We're putting out like something that we believe in, and we're just saying, we're like, we hope people listen. Here we go, and we measure it by those interactions and those little reassurances, which are, again, massive. Like seeing people on our Instagram just comment about the artist, to me, is the greatest thing. Like, oh my God, I love Sky Wallace. Going to listen to the episode. Like, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's great. I love that stuff. When we were in LA, we had some lady came up to us in the show. I was like, I love the podcast. I saw it on this, and I came, and it was like, oh, it was like, we're almost tempering our excitement. I don't know if you ever do this, where I want to be like, oh my God, thank you so much. You have no idea how much work this is. And to this little reassurance goes it's going to keep us alive for a year,
Oh man, you're the first person who's expressed that, so I feel like I can actually say that to you. I feel like jumping off the roof. Like, it's even one person saying that. It's because, when you're doing this stuff, just like, you say, I hope people would listen. And the fact that someone has resonated enough, because you get back to your own feelings of when somebody has resonated with you, so you know what that means. So somebody else is doing that for the stuff that you're putting out is insane. Yeah, it's insane.
Chills. I have chills. You
Chills,
saying it, and yeah, there's just something, I don't know, existential and in it that when you're, I can't even put it into words. So I think there's also something like vulnerable where, yes, I want to jump up and down and hug this person, but I'm like, thanks so much. Totally. You know?
Oh, you're sounding like the band that, you know, that went up before you or after, and like, yeah, cool show, dude. Yeah, that was great. Great set, dude.
Thanks so much. Abby's acting all cool too, but there's been moments where we like leave a venue, we get off of a pod, and we're like, our brains explode, our hearts, you know, melt into our ice cream, and we're just like, and this is one of the, dude, like this has been so much fun.
Yeah, same.
I have one other, and I think you'll have fun with this question. What musician, live or dead, would you quote unquote bother in the vein of bothering the band? And what would you ask this person?
I feel so basic and this, but I guess it would have to be Kurt Cobain. He was just so idiosyncratic on top of, you know, his music and everything. Every story I hear about him is, you know, so well, I guess not odd, I suppose, but maybe odd is the only thing I can think of.
Layered. We could think of more.
Layered, yeah.
It's so layered.
Layered.
It's so idiosyncratic is a great word for it.
What I would ask him.
It has to be done. What kind of soup do you like? He had stomach issues, so I don't know if he's going like a cream-based soup, you
know. Yeah, I would ask him something very banal, because I just would like to know what he's on as a regular person, you know, as a regular dude, you know, what, you know. You know what? Yeah, I would just ask him, hey dude, what brand is your couch? Like, you know, like what I just want to know something normal, day-to-day people.
He's like, it's rooms to go.
Rooms to go.
That's a fucking great. That there's nothing basic about that. No one's ever said Kurt Cobain on the pod.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Huh. I was gonna say, on that thread, like the other reason why I would want to know something so regular with him is that me, after passing the age of 27, I was realizing how young he actually was when he died, you know. And yeah, I was like, when I was younger listening to Nirvana, I was just like, oh man, this is cool, you know. Sure, it's sad that he died at 27, but when I actually crossed 37, that's when I was like, wow, I don't know how he accomplished so much.
As a child. I feel like
right, as a child.
I'm just starting to feel like an adult. I'm 40, so 27. At 27, man, I did nothing. Fuck.
You do not look 40 at all.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good, and it's so right. When you hit 27, you realize, or even older, and you realize how young like all those guys were, and girls. Man, what a wild ride this pod has been. What does the future hold for Nadu?
Me playing Lollapalooza, for some reason in my head, it's something that always sticks to me, and I feel like that's where it's going to be odd. You know, a couple of years from now, someone's going to come back to this podcast. I'm saying this, but I just have this mental image of playing a big festival like that, and I just feel like it's in my future. It's in the card. It's already written. I just have to keep going.
Dude, it's going to happen. It's not even like you're saying it like it's this untouchable thing. I can't wait to like whether this pod is around to like text Abby and be like, he fucking did it, you know. That's great. Oh man, manifest that. We're gonna manifest it with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. And we're also gonna manifest, coming out to LA and hanging out and getting some vegan pho with you. I fully expect you right after this to crawl under your bed and play the guitar just a little bit, and get your steps in, or whatever we call it. Nader, this has been like exceeding expectations. So much fun, eye-opening, heartwarming, all of the above. We can't thank you enough, man. It's tough to wrap this show up, but Abby needs food. You got to go play the guitar. I need to go get a haircut. This has been a fantastic show. Thank you so much. Everyone listening, go follow Nadu Band. Go just Spotify right now and listen and turn it up loud. I've been doing it at 5 a.m. the last 2 weeks. Just turn it up a little bit too loud. Pour yourself some coffee, put an orange in it. Fuck yes, bothering the band with Nadu. Boom.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Abby.
I won't be around to cut the ribbon, to open your heart, find nothing there. You give me a chance